Fair enough.
Assalamualaikum.
Guess
My
the
name
mystery
is Mohammed
continued.
Ayubi. I study in the School Foundation and class to task for the following issue of 3 2 1. So, the title name is Water, the origin of life and language. Question 1. Why is water essential for life?
Oh, starting with the big stuff today. Honestly, it's kind of wild when you think about it. Basically, water is the ultimate delivery system. It's the only thing that can dissolve almost anything, which means it carries all the nutrients, oxygen, and minerals into our cells and hauls away the waste. Without it, the whole chemical dance that makes life possible would just stop. Not even talking about thirst, just the actual physics of your cells would fail. There's a really cool connection between water and how early life formed in the ocean, too. What else you got?
So, the question 2 is how did water contribute to the development of early life?
That's where things get really interesting. Basically, the ocean acted like a giant soup pot. It kept the temperature stable, protected early life from the sun's radiation, and gathered all those essential minerals in one place so the first chemical reactions could actually happen. It's like the ocean provided the perfect nursery for life to get its start. What's next on the list?
Question 3. Where did the Earth's first water come from?
I'm sorry, I think I missed a word there. What do you mean by the art's work?
Question 3. Where did the Earth's first water come from?
Got Earth's first water. Now that's a wild one. There are two main theories, and they're both basically cosmic delivery stories. One is that water was already here, locked in the minerals of the rocks that built Earth, and as the planet cooled and those rocks shifted, it essentially sweated out the water as steam. The other theory, which is like the cosmic version of food delivery, is that we were pelted by icy asteroids and comets from the far reaches of the solar system, and they just dumped their cargo here. So we're either made of our own internal steam or we're basically just a giant collection
So
of
the,
melted space ice.
so the question
What's
4
next?
is how much of Earth's surface is covered by water?
It's about 71%. It's basically a water world with a few continents stuck on top. What else?
So question 5 is why do scientists search for water when looking for life on other planets?
Because water is the golden ticket. Basically, wherever water goes, the possibility of life follows. It's the only substance we know that can act as a solvent, creating the perfect environment for all the complex chemistry that life needs. So, if scientists find liquid water on another moon or planet, it's like finding a welcome sign for biology. It doesn't guarantee something is living there, but it's the first and most important requirement. Question 6.
So the question 6 is what role does water play inside living cells?
Inside the cell, water is basically the medium for everything. It's like the stage where all the biological drama happens, keeping everything suspended so molecules can actually find each other and react. It also helps the cell keep its shape, like an inflated balloon, so it doesn't just collapse into a puddle. It's also a master of temperature control, absorbing heat so the cell doesn't overheat when things get intense.
So the question 7 is how does water help plants to grow?
For plants, water is like a structural blueprint and a fuel source all in one. First, there's a process called turgor pressure, where water fills up the plant cells like tiny balloons, which is actually what keeps a plant standing upright instead of just wilting into a sad puddle. But the real magic is photosynthesis, where plants use water, sunlight, and carbon dioxide to literally create their own food from scratch. It's a wild thought, but they're essentially building their bodies out of thin air and water. What's next on the list?
So the question 9 is how does water regulate body temperature?
Our bodies have a built in cooling system, and sweat is the star of the show. When you get too hot, your brain tells your sweat glands to release water onto your skin. As that water evaporates into the air, it takes a bunch of heat with it, which chills you down. It's basically like having a personal air conditioner that runs on water. I'm guessing you've noticed this a lot during your jogs.
So the question 10 is why is the water called the universal solvent?
It's called that because it's essentially the MVP of dissolving things. Most other liquids are picky about what they'll mix with, but water has this unique molecular structure that lets it break down a huge variety of substances, porting nutrients through your blood or minerals through a plant's roots. It's like the ultimate mediator that just gets along with everyone. Are you doing this as a project or just a morning
The
brain block?
question 11 is how did oceans form on early Earth?
Oh, we're keeping the momentum going. Back to those cosmic delivery stories. Essentially, early Earth was a hellscape of volcanic activity, and those volcanoes were belching out massive amounts of water vapor into the atmosphere. Once the planet finally cooled down enough, all that vapor condensed into rain. I'm talking about rain that lasted for thousands of years, just filling up the low points of the crust until we had the oceans. Plus, we have those icy asteroids and comets from the theories we talked about adding to the pool. So it was basically a mix of the Earth sweating it out and space ice crashing into us. What's next? The crust, huh?
So the question 12 is how does the water cycle work?
The water cycle is basically the ultimate recycling program. It all kicks off with the sun heating up the ocean, which turns water into invisible gas that rises up. That's evaporation. Once it gets high enough, it cools down, clumps together, and forms clouds, which is called condensation. And eventually, those clouds get so heavy they just can't hold it anymore, and it falls back down as rain or snow, which we call precipitation.
So the
Then it all
question
flows.
13 is what is evaporation?
Evaporation is basically the getaway car for water molecules. When the sun heats up water, the molecules start dancing so fast that they actually break free from the liquid and turn into an invisible gas called water vapor. It's like when a puddle disappears after a rainstorm, it didn't just vanish, it just took flight into the air. What's next?
So the question 14 is what is condensation?
Condensation is basically the coming home part of the process. It's what happens when that invisible water vapor cools down, slows its roll, and clumps back together into tiny liquid droplets. You can see it in action when your cold drink sweats on a hot day or when your breath turns into a little cloud of mist on a freezing morning. It's the actual moment clouds are born.
Question 16. Why are oceans important to Earth's climate?
The oceans are basically Earth's lungs and thermostat all in one. Most of our oxygen actually comes from tiny marine plants called phytoplankton, not the rainforest. Plus, they soak up a massive amount of heat from the sun and move it around the globe through currents, which is the only reason places like Europe aren't frozen wastes. Without them, the temperature swings would be way too extreme for us to handle. What's number 17?
So question 17 is how do rivers shape civilizations?
The great rivers were basically the original hubs for everything. Think about the Nile in Egypt, the Tigris and Euphrates in Mesopotamia, or the Indus Valley. All these early civilizations popped up there because rivers did the two hardest things for them. First, they provided a reliable way to get water for crops, and second, they were the highways of the ancient world. It was way easier to float things down a river than to haul them over land, which is how trade, culture, and a lot of conflicts spread so fast. It's wild that so much of human history was decided just by who happened to live next to the best water source. You're making some fast progress through this list. What else you got?
So the question 19 is 18 is why did many ancient civilizations develop near rivers?
You nailed it with the last one. They basically had the original cheat code for survival. It was all about the water and the soil. Rivers didn't just give them a drink, they periodically flooded, leaving behind this rich, silty soil that was like a supercharger for their crops. It turned a struggle for survival into a surplus of food, which is the only reason they had the time to actually build cities, write laws, and create art instead of spending every waking second just trying to find a meal. It basically kick-started the modern world.
So the question 19 is how does water change landscapes over time?
Water is basically Earth's slowest, most patient sculptor. Just keeps chipping away, carving out things like the Grand Canyon over millions of years. It's a mix of physical force, like a river hammering away at a rock, and chemical reactions that actually dissolve the stone from the inside out. It's wild that something so soft can eventually bring down a mountain. What's 20?
So the question 20 is why is fresh water different from seawater?
It all comes down to the salt. Salt is a bit of a hoarder. It loves to hold on to water. In the ocean, the salt concentration is so high that it actually changes how water behaves, which is why seawater freezes at a lower temperature and can make you float way more easily than in a pool. Fresh water, like in a river or lake, has a tiny fraction of that salt. It's basically the difference between a plain glass of water and a cup of brine. You're just sailing through this list. What's number 21?
So the 21 question 21 is why do scientists believe water may have been important for the origin of life?
You've definitely put a lot of heart into this list. That was a massive run of questions. How are you feeling after that?
So the question 22 is could the first living organism have developed in the ocean?
Oof, you're speaking a different language now. I'm a little lost on that one. Can you try that again?
So the question 23 is what conditions is early oceans may have supported life?
Oh, we're getting into the actual recipe for life now. For a really good start, you basically need liquid water to act as a solvent, a stable energy source, and a cocktail of organic molecules like carbon and nitrogen to build the foundations. Some scientists think hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor were the perfect spot because they'd provide both the heat and the chemicals needed to spark the first living cell. It's like the ocean floor was the original chemistry lab.
So the question 24 is how would water have had early chemical reactions?
It's like water provides the meeting spot. It acts as a solvent, so it dissolves those early organic molecules and allows them to float around and actually bump into each other. Without water, those chemicals would just stay stuck in place. It basically creates the perfect environment for the right combinations to find each other and spark those first reactions.
So the question 5 is why are relationships between water and DNA?
It's a curveball. I'm not quite sure I follow. The enemy?
So the question 26 is what is the relationship between water and DNA?
I'm still a little stuck on the enemy. Do you mean like a specific chemical or maybe something more like
What
fire?
is the relationship between between water and DNA.
I'm genuinely stumped on this one. I've tried a few different angles, but the enemy isn't ringing any bells for me.
So the
Tell me what you
question
mean by that.
so the question 7 is how does water help proteins function?
And we're back to the science. Water is basically the glue and the architect for proteins. It doesn't just sit there, it forces the protein chains to fold into very specific shapes by pushing the parts that hate water to the inside and pulling the parts that love it to the outside. And if the water isn't there to push and
Say
pull,
goodly.
the
Say,
protein
say
just
goodly.
stays. Right, the chains. Without water to push those hydrophobic parts together, the protein would just stay as a long, useless string. It's like trying to fold a piece of paper without any crease lines. It just doesn't have a shape. Once it folds, though, it can actually start doing its job in the body. It's number 28.
So, so, so the question 28 is could life
38?
exist without liquid water?
Wait, did we just jump from 28 to 38? I can't keep up. But to answer your question, as far as we know, nope. No liquid water, no life. It's the absolute deal breaker for every single organism we've ever found. That's exactly why scientists are so obsessed with finding it on Mars or Europa. What else is on the list?
So the,
Back on track. Where are we landing now?
so the question so the question 29 is what advice do scientists look for when studying water on Mars?
They basically look for water footprints. They hunt for sedimentary rocks that look like they were carved by ancient rivers. And they look for minerals like hematite that only form when water is present. It's like a cosmic detective story, finding clues to a world that used to be blue. Someone else. But
So
hey,
the
I'm still locked
so
in.
the question 30 is from the ocean be, beneath the ice of other worlds contain life.
No, we're talking subsurface oceans. You're really taking this global to intergalactic. Places like Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, are just wild. They've got these thick shells of ice, but beneath them there are oceans with more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. Scientists are obsessed with them because those hidden waters are shielded from radiation and could have hydrothermal vents, just like our own ocean floors. It's like a giant cosmic ice cube hiding a possible alien party underneath. That's a huge jump from Mars. What's the next slide? Still with me? We're on a roll with these.
So the question
What's next?
31 is
I'm
why is
locked.
water on one of the most important words in human language?
All right. Let's see if I can pivot from the chemistry of water to the poetry of it. I'll be honest, I haven't heard that specific phrasing before. Are you talking about the actual word water and how it shows up in languages, or more like how the concept of water shapes the way humans speak about life and survival?
So the question 32 is how do different languages say the word water?
And now we're getting into the etymology side of things. It's actually a fun exercise in how humans organize the world. In Spanish, you've got agua, which comes from the Latin aqua. You can see that reflected in so many English words like aquatic or aquarium. In Mandarin, it's shui, written as sui. And in Arabic, it's ma, which is a short, punchy word for something so essential. It's pretty cool that no matter where you go or what language you speak, there's always a specific word for the one thing. We can't live without.
So we will end this conversation. So Allah Hafiz.
That was one heck of a session. We covered the whole map today.